So this community is a very kind and caring community. Not every country you find that.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Okay, Papa G. So we're talking about how to choose a country living property. What is your point? What should they look out for?
Water.
What about water?
They should look like if there's a river close by, or if there is like water resources where you have to pay for water. If there is none, you have to think of building a tank. Because you can't live in the country and you don't have water.
What if they have what if the property has NWC? What is your advice there?
Yeah, if they have the NWC, you still need tank, because NWC is not that reliable that okay you're going to have water every time. Because I've seen where the pump break down for weeks and months and you can't get no water. You have to go and buy water. So anywhere you're living in the country, it's best to build a tank.
Or to have your own water supply.
Your own water resources.
What about when you can buy and sell NWC work?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we are in the country and we have our water.
Right. Right.
We don't have any NWC water, but we have water all the time.
Right. Because God provides that water.
Yeah, we don't have to buy water either.
All right. So basically, you said check if the property has a tank, a well, or
river, any source of water, spring, anything.
Okay.
That would be very important.
What about the soil? What about the soil? And how the land is situated, like the terrain of the land. You know, we were talking about it. Hilly, slope, flat.
Flat is good to some point, but I'd rather have somewhere where if excess rainfall, it can run off.
Okay.
You don't need it to be flat. That's when rainfall, the whole place is flooded.
Okay.
Because I've seen where people buy land and when they realize it's all flooded up and they can't build a house on it. But the land can have a little slope where water can run off into some gully or some place.
Okay. All right.
And the soil is like, if it's clay holds water a lot. If it's sandy mole, water seems to seep away more quickly.
So they need to take into consideration the terrain of the land and the composition of the soil.
Yeah, you can have all flat, like...
And all hilly too. So if it's
all hilly, it have to be some gradient.
So if it's very hilly though, so it's a property where the Lord tell them and it's hilly, what would you suggest they do on that hilly land?
Contour, build walls like every 10 or 20 feet, straight across the sides of the hill.
Right.
Preserve the land from washing away.
Okay, so that's why they must do it.
Yeah.
So your advice is to make sure, so Papa G is taking this to be sold.
Somebody order it.
Somebody order it. So your advice is the soil and the terrain of the land as well as the water. Look out for those things.
Even guinea grass, you can plant guinea grass straight across the sides of the hill. And it helps keep the soil together. It can't wash away.
Okay.
Because guinea grass is something when it grows, it
holds the dirt?
Yeah, it holds the soil together.
All right, Papa G, thank you. I'm not going to hold up any more of your time. So, Shion, do you have any advice for people who are seeking country property?
Yes, one of the many advice that I would say is that you will have to have a good understanding and idea of the country in which you're living in, or which continent you live in, because there are some places that you will experience the 4 seasons, right? In Jamaica, we're blessed by not having, we're very close to the equator, so our temperature and our climate is very modest throughout the year. We just have the wet and dry season. But if you're living in a place that has the 4 seasons, you have to really prepare yourself for what winter has to bring. Your planting seasons are going to be shorter, and you have to have provision for the winter in terms of whether it is firewood, to heat the place, especially if you're thinking about being completely off the grid. In terms of, for example, firewood, that's very important, not only for cooking, but for keeping your home warm during the winter. So you're going to have to think about, how am I going to store up that during the summer, during the spring, in preparation for the colder months in the fall and in the winter. Especially if you're somebody who is living off the grid, or if you live in a country location where there's just, there's no access to power from the line. And of course, even if you have your solar in the winter, it's very cloudy most of the time, so you may not necessarily end up having a lot of sun to charge your solar panel. So you have to be, I guess, wise in a way to think about alternative means of electricity during those times.
Right.
So that's something that we don't necessarily have to worry about if you live in somewhere like Jamaica or even Florida, wherever. But that's what you have to think about if you live in certain countries. And I do believe that country living is not limited to a particular country. You don't have to be in the Caribbean. There are a lot of people who are practicing country living in Russia, Canada, all kind of different cold places.
Right.
But you have to make the necessary provision and know what you have to deal with in terms of the weather. The other thing that you have to think about is wildlife and just general safety of your family. Again, here in Jamaica, we're generally lucky as it relates to wildlife. We don't really have much in the sense of wildlife that we are particularly worried about. So in certain areas, you have to think about venomous snakes. You have to think about even something as potentially harmless as deer, because deer is not going to hurt you, but it can destroy your property, your fields, your crops, So you have to have fences that are, usually they recommend at least 8 feet tall so that the deer can't jump over it. Or there are other ways in which you can mitigate bears on your properties and so forth. Okay, you don't want them to come and damage your property that you work so hard to achieve. And of course, it goes without saying, when you have bears and those other deadly animals, they can be a threat to your safety. So a lot of times it may be important for you to have a gun on property,
Right.
even if it's just a fire warning shot to get the bears off your property. So that's something that you have to think about, where you're going to go and what the wildlife is. What is the weather like? What is the planting season like? Are you going to be able to plant through the 12 months? If not, then what are you going to do? Are you going to get a greenhouse to extend your planting season? Are you going to start your crops from indoors, and then when it gets warmer, you transplant them outdoors? So these are different things that you have to kind of entertain as, where you're going to be living and what you need to do in that particular area to have the best potential outcome from your country living experience.
Right. Thank you, Sean. So, Mama G, as you pick Akis, advise our people, advise our family, and Goshen family, how to choose land.
Okay, hi Goshen family. How to choose your land? First, you have to think about the size of your family to the size of the property.
Right. Why do they need to do that?
Because if you have a family of, like said, six of you, 4 children and husband and wife, you have to think maybe about an acre and a half of land.
If not more.
If not more. At least. And if the Lord can blesses you with more, He will provide for no problem. Right? But it would be good to have that amount of land so that your children will have place to play, have a play area, you have place to farm, you have place to build your home. You understand? So that you don't feel like you're in the city. You have your space. Your space out.
Right.
There can be a little garden.
Right.
You can walk around your place.
Right.
All
right. So basically, they must think about their family size to the land size and what they'll utilize the land to do. Farm. Is it 1 family or 2 family? How big is the family? Another thing as well, if they're gonna do like an outpost What are they going to do on the land? Are they going to have a sanitarium on the land? Are they going to do food production?
Yes,
all
they're gonna
those
need more
things.
space.
Yes.
They're
You
gonna
have to
need
think
more
about
space
people
for that.
coming too. Can I do an extra dwelling for people who will come?
Yes.
Possibly a worship center for people who will come and have worship. Those are some of the things we have to think about. Not true?
And you also have to think about the size of your house. The how
You can't just build it for your family. You have to build it to accommodate others.
right, and the bedrooms, them, you know, the sizes that you want, the size of the living area, the size of your kitchen, and so because you're going to accommodate others, it can't be too small.
Right.
So yes, how do you get to your land? Do you have to pass through somebody else's property to go to your own? Is it a landlock? Do you have an ease on the land where you have to give somebody part from your road? Do you and other people have to use the same road? You have to think that when you go and look at your land, you have to have those things in mind. Make sure, because you don't want after you buy your land, then people come and said, oh, we have to use the same road. Or do you have title for the land? Is there any title for the land? Many times people in rush to sell land and there's no title for it. So you have to look on that. Also, you have to think about where the location of the land is. Is it a place where you have landslides regularly? Is there a river on the land? Does the river come down and you can't cross to go over to your land? You know, you have to think about these things before you purchase your land. Don't wait until you purchase and then you have to maybe lose all those money.
Understood.
Well, also the community that you choose, to live into. What type of people are there in your community? You know, some community are not friendly. Some of them are not really Christian-like. It's that they will just play. You know, you have different types of people, but just have some community would just keep playing music every day. You don't have a quiet time. You have to think about that. Also, in my community, people are very kind.
Say Aki down there.
People are very kind. People are very caring.
Another one is there, you know?
And sharing. You understand what is the nature of the people in your community?
Right.
They are going to just live off of you and look at you. And
Nobody
say,
else do farm. Just you one going to supply the community.
Right. You have to take these things into consideration because you will be it's going to be a burden on you. But for example, I saw a bunch of ripe banana, and I was saying, oh, the grill man passed through. Right, and Papa G said, how you know that? And I said, see him leave a bunch of ripe banana there. Another lady was passing and said to me, tell your husband to check me. And when I told him and he went, she sent me a half bag of sweet potato. So this community is a very kind and caring community. Not every country you find that. Some people are very selfish. They sell everything. They will not share. Yes. Because I remember growing up, my mother have to buy breadfruit from other people in my district.
They're not giving anything.
No. And for her to get something, she would have to work at their field and they would give her something. But just to take up something and give you, they will not. So make sure you know the type of people that you are living with.
Right. Very good. While Mama G picks her Akis, I'm going to talk to you about you won't have everything on the land. Mommy mentioned the title, but please be reminded, we did not have title for our land. But this is where God wanted us. This is where God wanted us to be. So that's my next thing. Yeah, you won't have everything. But is this where God wants you to be? A lot of people keep messaging us. Do you know about land? Do you know about any property for sale? My question to you, where does God want you to be? You have to talk to God. Let him direct you. Is it Jamaica? That's the first thing. Is it America? Is it another small island? Is it Australia? Wherever he wants you to be, that's the place you're supposed to be. That's one. Then you say, which area of that country should I be? So it's not just, oh, I see you in the country, I want to be there. Where does God want you to be? So important. You have to talk to him about that. So we spoke about the soil, the terrain, right? Is your property accessible? Is it landlocked? Is it is there ease on your property where people are going to come and be on your property? What about the water? What about the community that you are going into, right? The availability, Mama G mentioned the availability of the land. Is there a title? Is that in the process? Yeah, the size of your land as well. Mama G says she has a point.
Yes,
I can hear you on the camera. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, what I'm saying is that, for example, we're at this ackee tree picking and ackees, and there's a lot of ackees in this community and berries, fruit trees, right? Some people don't plant fruit trees. Not everybody have fruit trees on their property. And if you are the only one who have fruit trees on your property or planting fruit trees, people are going to come and ask. Nothing is wrong with sharing, but we like the barter thing. You understand?
So maybe what you could do, you could foster it in your community too. Meaning, you could, I was saying it to Papa G the other day, could we do a project where you always have planting and it regenerates. Could you do something where you plant two plants in a people's yard?
Or give them to plant.
Yes, you give them to plant. You say, can you plant this? So that you are ensuring that your community has food. That's also a way to do it. So sometimes you have to be the change. If that's where God wants you to be, you have to go there and be the change in that community. You know, some things just spring up itself. The yam spring seeds. Can you go and say, plant this? So that you foster in your community that everybody have food. So it helps you too.
Yes, and sometimes you get even the soursop plants. We have a lot of soursop trees here, and we get some soursop plants. So we give them away. We give them.
Yeah, those are just some of the tips that we have as it relates to how to choose your country property. I would like for you, if you know of any other tip, anything come to you, put it in the comments below. And thank you so much for supporting our channel. Trust me, I was very apprehensive about doing country living, and the Lord told me to do it. I took so long, but look at how God has been blessing you, our family, as we, follow the leading of the Lord. So have a good day as you continue on this journey of finding your country living property.